This is our town.
Welcome.
This is our town.
Welcome.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 216 of Value Town. I'm ChanmanV, and I've got two very special guests. There she is. Allie disappeared for a second. Got two special guests on today, the lovely Slyssa and Alliestrasza. What's up, guys? Or girls?
Hi.
I always say
Hello.
guys.
What's up, guys?
I
I
say
say guys all the time.
I say guys and dudes constantly.
You know, I always feel weird saying that, or I always catch myself now. It's like, do you guys think that's weird when people say that? And when they
Not
just say
at all.
guys? Okay, not at
I
all.
call other girls dudes. I'm like, what's up, guys?
You
all
say
the time.
dudes
Like,
to people?
yeah,
Really?
I'm sure I've
Okay.
called Slyssa like, hey, dude, you gotta do this.
Oh, okay.
We do that a lot. I've seen people be offended by it though, but
Really?
I have, but I don't care. I say dudes and guys all the time.
Okay.
It's become
Okay.
like vocabulary.
So maybe I don't have to be paranoid anymore every time I say
No,
guys.
you're good.
Well, happy to have you guys on. We got lots to talk about today too. I mean, the topic bar actually has 6 things on it, which it generally doesn't. It has like 4 or 5 things. So lots happened in this last 2 weeks. New patch is out. It came out Tuesday with all the buffs and all that. So and we talked about the buffs last show, but it might be good to just kind of get y'all's thoughts on maybe some card that you're super, or maybe even already started to take advantage of in terms of the buffs. And then the Wings 3 and 4 are out. There's another Blizzard event after the Blizzard event you guys were at the previous I think week. So another one this week, and then Grandmaster, another week of Grandmaster to talk about, and then Q&A at the end. So we'll definitely talk about that. But to start off, what have you guys been doing? Hearthstone, anything this week? Anything cool?
Hearthstone. Just been playing ladder with the new buffs. I'm really excited that they're doing this, mid-season to kind of fix the kind of slump that it gets into sometimes. So just been playing the ladder.
Yeah, I've been trying to kind of formulate new decks and stuff and see how the buffs can fit in. So every day I've been playing a different deck. Paladin, Mage, all the stuff. I think it's so smart to put buffs in mid-season.
Yeah. So no shaman? Like, are you just sick of
No,
shaman after?
Oh no, I'm still playing shaman because every day now people come in like, why aren't you playing Murlocs? Like, why aren't all the new people think I'm a shaman main. And they think that's all I play.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm not a shaman main. It's just like I happen to
You're turning into Ike now.
shaman one time.
Yeah.
That does happen quite often. Like if you start to play one particular class a lot, you have people coming back specifically asking for that class, and you become like an expert of it. So
I mean, APX Void's made a living off of it. So
yes,
there's merit to it.
Yeah. So it's I'm in this weird spot now of like, do I just play that deck all the time and like become a Murloc main?
Oh man, don't become a Murloc main. Maybe a
things
shaman main, but Murloc main would be pretty crazy.
I think you just got to do what makes you happy in the moment,
Yeah.
I think it's always fun to play different decks to get to Legend, and then once you're like in High Legend, you shouldn't switch decks at all, right? You can play maybe one deck you can switch based on the meta that day, but you should only be playing 1 or 2 decks if you're trying to be High Legend. So
yeah, I mean there's that extra mastery that you get from playing those hundreds of games, right? Versus like the people who in Legend, even High Legend, even the pro players that only play like 50 to 100. But you've probably played how many games of Murloc Shaman you think you've played? Like this specific one.
Thousands.
Oh yeah, a
You
lot.
think thousands? Yeah. So like your understanding of that deck and the matchups is another level, right? So
right, exactly.
It is tough. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go down.
I was going to say, from the viewer perspective, though, like even though you do have the people that come back and want to see that particular class gameplay, there is a significant portion of people that are like, switch decks. I want to see something different. And if you are trying to push for that High Legend, like Slyssa said, it is really not a good idea to be switching decks a lot. So it's not always optimal for the viewer experience, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I actually played that deck because of you, Slyssa. and It's actually really good. It's the only it's the only deck that feels like, old school zoo, fast zoo. Like zoo these days isn't super fast like it used to be. So it's probably the single. Is it the most aggressive deck? It probably is, right? It's the most aggressive deck in the
It loses
meta.
to Zoolock. Zoolock is actually a bit more aggressive.
Is it really?
Because,
Wow.
well, yeah. Well, because my style of Murloc Shaman is actually like it can be super aggressive, but it can be also super late game because of the Shudderwock, the Hagatha, there's so much late game in my version that it's actually not as aggressive as it seems based on the way you mulligan.
Yeah. Okay.
Hagatha makes the deck insane, I think. Just
yeah, Allie got to play with you one day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Such a great time.
I saw the Murloc way.
You saw the Murloc way.
I mean,
Murloc
what's its worst matchup, do you think? Zoo, did you say?
Yeah, it was Zoo for sure.
Yeah.
It used to be Rogue used to be its worst matchup pre-nerf. And when the nerfs came in, the Rogue was like an okay matchup, and then like the Zoo's lock started coming out, and that was a little rough.
Just felt like in general it didn't have many bad matchups, and it could even win the unfavorables.
Right.
Well, it's one of those decks where if you just get the perfect first 5 or 6 cards, you just win.
Yes.
And that's always good. You probably get like good 5 or 10% win percentage just based on that. Which is really, really nice to tack on to everything else. So what kind of spells are great to get off of Hagatha, like when you do?
So depending on the matchup, if you're facing aggro, you want, lightning storms and stuff like that. But if you're facing control, you want Stormbringer.
Yeah. That's
the
a good
frogs, the toad things, stuff like that. So you want board generation into control.
Yeah,
the Stormbringer's super fun.
It's like nobody actually plays the card in their deck.
Oh, I play it now.
Do you really?
It's been buffed. It's only 6 mana.
Wow,
so
you actually put it in there.
Yeah, if you get a sticky board, you can just I'm just gonna throw this out.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I've always felt that, or I thought everybody just plays it because they get it from Hagatha or they get it from another card or whatever, and it ends up being super useful when they end up using it.
Right.
But I've never actually known that people added it to their 30 card deck, so that's pretty cool.
Because if you think about it in the matchup versus like Rogue, where you're fighting for board or something, and you just like slip in a turn where they can't clear, then you just get this auto like good trades, and then boom, I have the board, and like what are you gonna do? You don't have Vile Spines anymore,
just like evolved like a million times there.
Right, exactly. It's just these like uber evolves.
Exactly. Cool.
It's crazy that the change from 7 to 6 is that significant then.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. The 1 mana less is crazy good. But speaking of which, the buffs, obviously those came out yesterday, right? And
2 days ago?
2 days
was it
ago?
2 days ago?
Yeah.
Was it Monday?
Yeah, it was Monday.
Monday.
I think they are planning these things around GM so they get optimal days to
okay. So it's not just always Tuesday now. They're breaking all the like old rules that we thought were in place. So
This ain't the same old Hearthstone.
I know this exactly. Not just we don't do buffs, but we also don't just release stuff on Tuesday now too. So really, really cool. But kind of going through the patch, just to remind some folks, we had 18 card buffs, 1 actual nerf, which I don't know the nerf was because of because of Snip Snap and being an abused Snip Snap. Reckless Experimenter got nerfed. And then new card backs, and then even a matchmaking improvement too, which was pretty interesting to see that they. So apparently you can't play against the same. They try their best not to allow the same player to be played, back to back. Like, so hopefully you don't end up playing the same person like 3 times in a row, which happens sometimes, especially at high legend.
Dog, Slysssa.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I've queued into Dog at least 20, 30 times over 3 days.
Oh my god.
It was insane. It was like a ridiculous
consecutively or just
a
like
lot of times there was a bunch of consecutive, but I would say
Oh
total
my
was
God.
that many times. It was so
I was
many.
watching, because I pop on the dogs or dog streams like always on my follow thing, just because I usually like to watch him play auto chess too. So that the day, there was like 2 days where I was like, oh, he's playing Slyssa, and then then it's like, oh, he's playing Slyssa again, and
like we just kept queuing, and like it'd
crazy.
be something weird where he'd change his deck, and I used to wait all the time because I wouldn't want people to snipe me. Then we'd end up queuing into each other again. We're like, God dang it! Like
that's funny. But hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. And they said that they were trying to not have the same class multiple times in a row too.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm not sure that's true though.
Yeah.
I've heard some like, that's not true, but I've heard kind of both things. So I'm not sure if that's going to be
everyone's playing
definitely
Hunter,
enforced.
you can't really get around
Yeah,
that.
right, exactly.
Well, they're saying it here, right? Like they say, and same class multiple times in a row. So they're at least making an effort not to have you in the same class.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know how I feel about it either.
A bunch of like certain class, I'm going to queue a deck that beats it and like counter queue the meta. So it makes that a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the class. Well, I think it's interesting on a lot of or two different type of standpoints. Like first off, in terms of like queuing into it, I think it really artificially affects just the integrity just of the ladder if you end up doing that, and people can try to manipulate that in a way. I don't know, because if you're not going to play warrior next and you queue into a different class that's going to be better against something that's not warrior, right? So you might be able to manipulate that a little bit. But as just kind of looking back at the game and the fact that they can do that, it's like, can they?
Are you getting suspicious?
It's like,
that's the biggest thing for me, right? Is the fact that they can do this, like that they can manipulate it, is what is a little sketchy.
Right. It's like, can we just ban classes and stuff like that, right?
I'm looking at my tracker from today, from my games today. Played 25 games of the same class. Ooh. I didn't queue into the same thing twice in a row once.
Wow. Okay, that's probably enough data right there. Given
it's 25 games. I never queued into the same class.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
What was that experience like, do you think? Overall, like good, or?
I don't know if it was good or not.
It's probably not, well, depending on if the matchup's terrible, but I mean, for me, I generally like to just drill against the same class, like, because I can just play against it better and I just learn it better, and then I end up usually getting a hand up on it. So, but for the stream, it's probably a lot better, just seeing something different every time. That's probably good.
I mean, part of it is making a meta call of like what you're running into a lot and picking a deck to try and game it. So I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but it's certainly good for the viewers, like you said, because I can't tell you how many times people in chat have been like, "Oh my God, is that another rogue? It's just rogue stone."
Or something
stupid like that. You're facing dog again. I can't watch this.
Okay, that's not that bad.
Well, dog switches decks like every 3 or 4 matches, I think. Though.
No, he's good.
He gets sick of playing.
That was good content.
Oh, actually, Peter Williams said it's a mistake in the patch notes. Well, I mean, your experience actually shows that you didn't play this. I mean, that could have been, I don't know, that's pretty freaky if you didn't play the same class multiple times in that many games.
No.
Yeah. Wait, he went back on it? Wait, what did he do?
So Hanslock in chat says Peter Williams said it's a mistake in the patch notes. That the class multiple times in a row, I think is in there, but I don't know. It'll be interesting, like tomorrow, Slyssa, if you had the same experience.
I'll let you guys know.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably check it out as well.
Too. Yeah, we all should.
Exactly. But talking about some of the card buffs, anything really, any of the card buffs really stand out to you, or you're excited about trying outside of obviously the Stormbringer one? Any of the others seem broken to you?
So Crystology is definitely
broken.
Crystology into the Glowstone Technician, that package is like pretty insane right now. I would tech in 2 Howls and 2 Spellbreakers.
Really? Yeah. Oh my God.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go full on, but like it's pretty freaking strong what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like coin Crystology on 1, Crystology on 2. I have everything.
That one kind of surprised me in general. Like I'm in favor of the buffs for sure, but some of them, I don't know if they didn't make a lot of sense. Like Crystology was already so good as it was. Same thing with Thunderhead. Sorry, what's it called?
The Shaman card. Yeah,
it's like good. These cards, both of those cards were already pretty darn good, and buffing them, it's a little questionable, but
I mean, Thunderhead's probably going to be an auto ad, like just
it's auto
every deck. Yeah,
it's made Overload Shaman really strong.
Mm-hmm.
So people that's probably way better than Murloc Shaman actually. Yeah, that's really good. I know people have been trying to make Pogo Rogue work, and it's fun,
Yeah.
and it can work.
Still Pogo Rogue.
It's still Pogo Rogue. I would like honestly, if I were a specialist, I would run it as a sideboard for Warrior because it just destroys them.
Oh,
but...
true. That's a good point. I saw that. Who did that? Who? Oh, somebody did that in the I think Tice's team did that in this past event.
Okay, yeah, it's really strong versus them. They'll just concede.
Yeah.
It's super fun with the magic carpet because you get to rush all of them.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Luna's Pocket Galaxy?
Oh, that's like the obvious one that's got to be good and great and it's going to be amazing, but I don't know. I haven't seen anybody take it. I mean, it feels broken to me, but I've
tried.
Seen anybody doing it.
Asma's been doing work with it, I think. I tried it today and like got some good games and some like bad games. But I haven't figured the deck out properly completely yet. I feel like for me, I have to play a deck at least 100 times before I feel really confident with it.
Especially with a card like that, because you're just skipping a turn to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, you can kind of play it early. If you're facing like a control deck, you're gonna play it. It seems like, and then if you're not facing a control deck, you probably don't get to play it.
Yeah.
That's definitely the one that I've been experimenting with the most. I made like a freeze mage type of deck where, if you get Mally and Alliestrasza discounted, and Antonidas getting you 2 fireballs, like that is a 1-turn combo. I mean, it's a little bit difficult to get off, but Alex Mally double fireballs, 22 damage. So
great YouTube content.
Yeah, it's good YouTube content. It's definitely a meme.
That's how our minds work now. Screw ranking up. It's just all about YouTube.
Yeah,
it's the disguised toast way of playing.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it has potential. Like it being 5 mana is fine. I just don't know if you can build a whole deck around it or just add it into Dragon Khadgar Mage or something to make it.
From the stats I've seen, the decks that don't run the Mally with it do better.
Much better, I'm sure.
Yeah, but like I really wanted the Mally to work today, and then I saw the stats on the Mally version. I was like, not as strong, but like
you don't need it, I don't think, right? You can still play Freeze Mage and have it in there without the Mally Ghost. The Mally Ghost is just an extra win more.
I want the Mally to work for sure. Maybe we'll figure it out. We'll keep trying.
I think it's one of those decks that I think if you fit, once you do kind of get past that expert threshold on it, then it's probably super powerful. Like when you can figure out how to get past these like key turns where you might die, because removal for mages is so right, like, or at least the decks that people play right now, it's mostly minions these days, right? So
it is so weird.
It's crazy. Like I think it's so weird that I used to tell people who are new to the game, if you're new to the game, you should play mage. It's probably like the easiest class to play. Now mage is like a miracle style, and I'm like, oh, don't do mage. Like they're like, oh, it's rough, man. It's such a miracle style deck, and I think it's really hard to pilot.
Cyclone Mage feels like the new Miracle Rogue. Yeah, I was always so scared to play Miracle Rogue as a new player, and would we probably agree that Cyclone Mage is the hardest deck to pilot properly right now?
I personally think so right now, yeah.
I think there's a huge like difference between amateur players versus the top tier, and when it comes to piloting. So
that's why the win rate on HS Replay, is bad. People are like, oh, it's only 48%. I'm like, well, that's more due to people not being able to pilot it correctly.
There is a piloting rate. They have that stat. Like,
oh, do they?
I'm surprised they haven't released it yet. Yeah, it's been. I mean, it's been. I know it's been in the pipeline for a long time now. So I maybe it'll come out later this year or something.
Oh, I would love that.
But that was something that we were talking about doing for Profile, even when I was there, like months ago. So it's there. Like there's definitely a pilot. Like a pilot rating and how what percentage of a pilot you are using that deck.
Yeah, how's that quantified? I'm like so curious now.
It's just your win percentage versus everybody else, right? Like with that specific deck and what your win percentage is compared to just everybody at every different level. I mean, the biggest thing is just seeing just if you're, we wanted to create this way to classify if you're like an A pilot or a class, S tier, pilot on this type of deck versus, just somebody that's like a C C or a B, and see how people kind of matched up there. But there definitely is a significant difference between people, even in Legend. Like there's significant difference between the really, really good players at those top decks and just.
Well, yeah, that's not surprising. It's just it's cool that they have they have the stats. So hopefully that.
I mean, Blizzard has it too, obviously. So it would be. I think it'd be a good talking point to have people be listed that way, and you have like a top player at this deck, and they can talk about in GM too, and or some competitive element to it too.
Specialist.
Yeah, special. Oh yeah,
specialist.
Never
anyways.
mind, specialist. Nothing to talk about. Okay, so those are the buffs. Obviously, the nerf was just so that the snip snap the new card also. That if you guys didn't know that was coming out.
I haven't like properly played it yet.
I lost to it earlier. Somebody used it to kill me.
It's really strong in Mech Hunter, and it's really strong in Zoolock, like mech style Zoolock.
Yeah.
I put it in Mech Paladin. Obviously, like a ton of people were like, oh, does not mess up your Kangors. And I'm still undecided because I do think it's a pretty decent tool against aggro. The 2/1/1s are nice, and being able to get on board a little bit earlier by buffing up an earlier mech is nice. And so I feel like maybe you could just hold it back on the matchups like a warrior where you really need a ton of value off of the Kangors.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it will see play in like the final, like the metas, figured out of Mech Paladin. I'm not sure.
I saw Fino was playing it in Mech Hunter today.
It's really good in Hunter. Like really,
because he did the 1/1 on 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then 2 coined it out as a magnetize. All of a sudden I'm facing a 3/4 on 2, and I'm like, oh, no. That has death rattle.
I know, right?
It's like totem golem.
Well, before, like the only magnetize that they would use is the bomb. You know what I mean? And like the kill. I forget what it's called. The 2/2 that just kills. Like,
the Venomizer.
Yeah. So that was like the only one I would ever be worried about. But now like this is out there too, and then. I've had that card get magnetized by this card like a few times and have it kind of grow on just grow from there. And the death rattle is ridiculously good too. So it's just this card's actually just really good. and Hunter does the best. Yeah.
As the last 2 days, I've seen a lot of magnetized stuff, and I don't. We've been away from a silence meta for a bit now, but I think it might be becoming a silence meta again, where you want to run at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, silence has always been on the verge of being good for a while now. Like I think it's decent against Paladin. What else is it good against?
Definitely Hunter, Mech Hunter for sure.
Hunter can be somewhat useful against Warrior. Just to, if you can't remove stuff. But I don't know.
Silence usually gets valued somewhere in the game, but it's usually not enough to main deck it unless it. For sure it'll get value.
Yeah, unless death rattle's crazy. Just crazy, right? Okay, well, anyways, new patch, check it out, guys. And,
there's a new hero. New hero.
Oh, yeah, new hero. Yeah, new card backs and new hero as well.
He's super BM.
I haven't tried out all the...
His hello seems like a threaten. Like, I've said the hello to someone before, and they threaten me back.
Wait, what
does it say?
What is
I can't remember now. What was his name again? The Thunder King.
The King. He's a king for sure. I know that. Thunder King Shaman hero. There you go, Thunder King.
Oh wait,
he looks badass though. He looks awesome.
I have to ask, like, why Shaman though?
I know. I'm campaigning for a warrior female currently.
Yeah, I would love a warrior female.
Yeah, which class is the least represented right now?
Warrior only has 2. Rogue only has 2. Hunter only has 2.
Yeah, those could use some for sure. Yeah,
Are they? I don't know. Like, were they trying to push Shaman more? I don't know.
Shaman's gotten
know more about the decision.
I mean, it's like a year ago, probably when you were still doing the show, Allie, where Shaman just was terrible. Like,
it was so
bad, like crazy bad. Then all of a sudden, this year was dedicated to Shaman days.
But the year prior to it being bad, it was just dominating the meta. Mid-range Shaman was Thunderbluff Valiant days, I have PTSD from that. So
yeah. Good.
Okay, I got the greeting.
Okay.
It's the greeting is gaze upon my might.
that is kind of BM.
Gaze upon
Very-
my
very
might.
pompous.
Okay.
Upon my might. And then
Yeah,
the threaten though, the threaten is kneel before me.
Kneel before me. It kind of reminds me of Jaina. Bow to your queen.
Kneel before me.
I mean, I'm always happy to have new heroes, but I would have liked to have seen another class get some love. That's for sure.
Yeah, because like I think wasn't the most recent one the shaman one? Like we just got 2 shamans in a row. Was that what it was?
What was the win provider for this?
Noyotron might have been.
No, that was
Oh,
before.
No, yeah, Noyotron might have been.
Mm-mm.
No?
The one from Rusticons was after.
Oh, right.
What came with the most recent? Because
With this-
Rusticon was
this
the
example?
shaman.
Yeah.
Rusticon's Rumble. What came with this recent Rise of Shadows? Anything?
I don't think.
No, oh, priest.
Priest. Oh, Lazul. Madame
Oh,
Lazul.
Lazul,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
There
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
But they already had they had Tyrande, but you can't get her anymore, so that makes sense.
Well, eventually they're going to make her available.
Right,
It
yeah.
sounds like they're going to. So one day we'll get him. But Lazul, I mean, the fact that we forgot Lazul is about how,
Yeah,
how
that's not
popular
good.
she
Well,
is.
I mean, come on.
That's
no one
pretty
plays
bad.
priest. We
No
don't
one
play
plays
priest. It's not our fault.
Priest is
Oh.
fun. I still play it every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like it's fun to play a little bit. It sucks to play against it because it's just your typical kind of combo thing. And there's just not much to it. There's no mid range. There's nothing. There's no dragon. There's nothing there. So they got to do something with priest.
This is just the cycle. Like, Priest was the best class with Rizakis meta, right? And now it's bad again. And, Shaman was OP and then it was terrible. Now it's better again. So it's just
Think
the
of, like,
cycle that happens.
It's like, oh, it's too good. Let's make it bad. Oh, it's too bad. Let's make it good.
Yes. I will say extra arms being 2 mana though, like
Yeah.
that seems really good. It just sucks that the meta doesn't really allow for Priest to take advantage of it right now. So
Yeah. No, I've definitely had. Well, in the adventures I've used extra arms some, but maybe not actually on ladder though.
don't know if that counts.
Yeah, that probably
Arena,
doesn't.
but it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. That's
I'm
good.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've only played one game of Arena so far.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't played a single game of Arena in a
Nor
long
have I.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I've
like
just been
all mechs.
consumed.
All the mech, like
Oh,
any
really?
like expansion that had mechs in it is what's in the arena right now.
Yeah. Okay. That should be interesting. Finally, mechs have its place. After
Mm-hmm.
Boomsday, it's so funny. All right. So the new patch came out. Also, Wings 3 and 4 came out for the Dalaran Showdown, or is that what it's called? Dalaran? No, it's the Dalaran Heist.
Dalaran Heist.
Yeah, Dalaran Heist. And
You
so
say
3 and
Valerian, like Valerian
I know.
Steel
I don't know why I keep saying that. That's exactly what I was thinking when I just took it out of my mouth. I'm like, am I talking about Game of Thrones?
Spoilers.
What am I talking- Yeah, exactly. But chapter 3 is Streets of Dalaran, and then chapter 4 is what? How do you pronounce
Dalaran.
it? Dalaran. Okay. Oh my God. Dalaran.
It's okay.
Yeah. And
Dalaran
then, and then
Heist.
chapter 4 is the Underbelly. So they
Yes.
they obviously have their own nuances too. Just like the bank and the hold actually had it as well. And the Underbelly is the one where it has the two what was it? The Underbelly
The
is the one
attack and health swap.
yeah, that flops the health, flops the attack
Yes.
and health. And then the Streets of Dalaran. No, Dalaran is what's the special thing for Streets of Dalaran?
Chapter 3.
Yeah, chapter 3 is
It was crowded streets, so there were
Three
three
things
things on the
yeah,
board.
the
that
food. The food is in the streets, right? Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
only play 4 minions, up to 4 minions at a
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
We didn't get to play that during the Dalaran Heist event.
No, we did not.
Oh, wait, which ones did you get to play? I forget whenever you guys
Well,
did the event.
You were supposed to play all of them, but we didn't get to chapter.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But we did.
That's right. I forgot.
Though.
We didn't get last. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, that show
No, it was a
wasn't
really
the
fun
greatest.
event, honestly.
It was so much fun.
I forget? Did y'all have to do any of the challenges or any of those?
Well, we only handed them out.
Only handed them out. Okay.
Actually, only one team got no. Maybe two teams did, but Crip and Trump got the majority of sabotages, and so they were in the lead for a long time, but actually wound up coming in second.
Ended up losing after the bell. Actually.
Even though they messed up the announcement, they announced that Crip and Trump won live on stream, so that was a bit of a
toast. Toast protesting it and was actually right. They got it wrong. That was a fun event for sure, and it's cool that they're doing more of them. And, we'll obviously talk about it in a second with Mechanical Invitation, but it was great getting a chance to see you guys play as well. You guys played on Heroic though during that day, right? It wasn't regular, right?
Only
It was regular.
It was regular.
4 and
really?
5. 4 and 5 were on her.
No, it was the final event, the last 30 minutes where you got all the extra points, and the way we were able to get out of last place was because it was on heroic mode.
Yeah.
And you had to see how many you could win, and Allie just went on a tear in the heroic mode and didn't lose.
I made up for messing up in the regular, so
awesome.
That makes a lot of sense. But.
Yeah, she was just a pro at the heroic mode. Like
awesome.
She needed it to be more challenging, I guess.
We'll go with that.
Heroic is significantly harder too. So that's amazing.
Well, especially we had to do chapter 5 heroic, which I've done the heroic some of the other ones, and they're I think just they're good, but the heroic for chapter 5 I think is pretty difficult.
Yeah, the heroic modes, you kind of need to get lucky because they are harder, but it feels harder because it's just a little bit more random, a lot of stuff can kind of go right or wrong, and, they definitely get tough.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of the Crowded Streets, what'd you guys think of chapter 3? Because I still haven't finished the heroic. I've been struggling through the heroic. I've only finished 1 and 2. I've been basically stuck on 3 and 4. Losing to the final boss, I don't know how many times. It's been but have you guys finished the Crowded Streets one, the chapter 3 one?
I don't know. I played at night when I fall asleep, so I can't remember where I fell asleep last.
Okay.
But yeah, that one's all about getting the big, strong, meaty minions that do work. 10 Ragnaroses, put 4 down.
For me, personally, the Crowded Streets was probably my least favorite one. Yeah. I just didn't really like being limited to 4 minions. So, it was fine. But of the ones I've played thus far, I think Crowded Streets is probably my least favorite. So
I think,
Go ahead.
The chapter 4 is the most interesting to me because you keep forgetting when you draft something, you find out something oh, I drafted a Leroy. And you're like, oh well, Leroy is a 2/6 with aggro. Not very good.
Exactly. No, it's amazing how many minions that are considered good have high health. So it ends up getting swapped.
Yeah.
And it's it's pretty brutal when that happens.
I had an opportunity, and I still don't really know if it would have been right or wrong, but I got Lady in White randomly, where it casts Inner Fire on everything on your deck.
It doesn't even matter.
And
it's worse, but
it could have been good or better, right? And then I was thinking about the majority of the time, do minions have a higher health than attack? And I just was too nervous to play it, because I think it was my final boss game, and I was like, I'm just not going to play it. I don't know.
Oh, it was in your hand kind of thing?
Actually, you're right. It would be bad a lot of times. You
think it'd be bad, right?
Your 12/4 giant,
it'd be really bad.
12/4 dragons and stuff like that would be a 4/4 dragon.
I decided against playing it, but because I think it would have been more of a negative result. So.
Yeah, for sure. But with chapter 3, I kind of agree. It's definitely my least favorite as well. And it's so weird because I'll just crush the first 7 bosses easy on chapter 3, and then I get to the 8th one and I just get stomped. I don't know why, but because I can't get all Anoyotrons, or I can't get the ones where you can just come back from being super behind because of the lack of space. So it's been screwing me. I think just the not being able to put extra 3 guys on the board.
Yeah. Could see that.
Yeah. The Underbelly, what do you think? Which I'm trying to think of which boss is pretty tough. Is it Flark? Flark is the one that has the 2 things that do 5 damage to you if you have nothing in between them, right?
Yes.
Is that Flark? Yeah. God, man, Flark. He's so good.
I lost the final boss because I just played too quickly and didn't put the minion in between the middle.
Oh, right.
I just was never forgiving myself. But yeah, Flark could be annoying. And then I think the other one was Madame Goya, right? I think is the other boss for chapter 4.
Mm-hmm. Madame Goya, what's her ability again?
She gives you, she turns the cards in your hand into extortions, and you have to pay 2 mana in order to like get your minion back or your spell maybe.
Right. So it's just like +2 basically.
I didn't find that one that tough. I honestly thought the Flark was harder, or the giant rat, or that wasn't even a final boss. I think it was 7, where you had to kill all of the rats in order to be able to kill them. I honestly felt like that one was a little bit harder than Madame Goya.
Dude, I'll be honest. I think the first boss is like one of the hardest ones on a heroic. I've actually lost the first boss a couple times because of
it. Happens, man. It does.
I know, man. It's kind of funny. No, but overall, you know, I think the 4th one's been a lot of fun. Just trying to finish it. And so I haven't gotten a chance to talk to you guys about the expansion at all. But what's your favorite class? What do you think is the easiest class, and what's your favorite class?
For the PvE specifically?
Yeah, PvE specifically.
Oh, I guess I'm partial to mage. Just you know, I always am. But I did have a really fun warrior run, like a dragon warrior, double battle cry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what else did I get? Like your minions that cost 5. Like warrior was actually pretty fun, and warrior is like my least favorite class. So I like that one.
That's good. Slyssa,
I don't think I've tried enough of them yet to know my favorite, but so far I would say it's, I'm going to go with the Alliestrasza and say it's Hunter. Hunter is what I jammed at the event. I jammed Hunter at the event, and it served me well, but I also have been playing a lot of the mage too, and really like I like the mage hero power where you get to reduce, and I think it's so fun and nice, and only costs 1 mana, and then you pick the treasure or whatever that makes it so you can do it twice or something like that.
Yeah.
Or you can do some crazy
those
combos.
Combos are great. Yeah, that's what's really cool about the new hero powers that you can unlock. Those of you maybe haven't played it yet, you can unlock new hero powers for each of the classes. If you kill enough bosses, it unlocks.
And then it also unlocks a different starting deck. And I think it's just so smart because you can think of different ways to do it, and you can try so many different styles. This newest adventure is just so awesome.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I had a lot of success with Priest.
Really?
Yeah. Just
I haven't tried it.
Well, you get to play wild cards, so
yeah. I mean, you just your standard divine spirit in. I mean, having like Lightwell or just some of the old cards, it's just like they're crazy good whenever you're in the right situation. So I mean, I've just comboed the boss to death like I don't know how many times. That's how I finished the first two chapters, just priesting it. So, but Druid, we were talking about Druid earlier.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. I don't know if Druid was as hard for other people as it was for me. But basically your 3 options were like, trying to do a token deck, heal variant, and then what wound up working for me was just having big minions, having the robes of gaudiness, which that thing is just broken. Like that to me is the best one. And so that's what it took for me to win with Druid. So I'm very curious to know if other people struggled as much as I did with Druid, but
that's what Patra was using during the event was Druid.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow. Well,
I think she was going token strat.
Dude, that's all I've been doing is a token strat. And I keep running into Flark at the very end. And for those of you who haven't played Flark does 3 damage to a minion that hits him in the face. So the token druid, I rarely get the health above 3. So they just die every time. So I'm just like trying to evolving spores and try to get divine shields on them and all these things. It's been pretty fun and pretty challenging to try to figure out how to finish Flark. But I seem to get him every time, like at the end. So it's been fun.
The token strategy works well with the passive that what is it? Draw. It makes you immune to fatigue, but it draws you
2 cards.
2 cards.
Oh, the 2 cards. Yeah, yeah.
Like 2 cards at the end of your turn, right? You draw
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, where you end up with no, you draw 3 in the beginning of your turn.
Yeah, I think it's 3 in the beginning, and you're immune to fatigue. So
Yeah.
that works pretty well with the token strategy.
Yeah, because you can just dump your hand like every single turn, and that works really, really nicely.
How often do you guys get like a couple of treasures or passives and realize that they're just
suck.
bad, and
Yeah.
because with Druid, I got to that point where I was like, nope, this is not a good enough start.
Like that was you every time we did the event.
Oh,
You got so
damn.
lucky on your treasures. We just sit there looking at it like,
I should have conceded, and I was too nervous.
you wanted to, and I told you not to. That might have been my fault.
No,
Let's find the treasures here. Let me see if we can just kind of look at them all. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. Yeah, I love this one. I love the Anoia Horn one.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
I like the ring.
This one, the 9 one.
Summon 5 Gore House or whatever. Don't go Ice House. Don't go face.
Oh my god.
Or a Ragnaros.
5
There you
Gore
go.
House.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
Ragnaros too. Oh my god.
It was what their Ice House, right? I didn't.
Yeah, Ice
didn't
House
know-
can't go face, and I totally forgot that as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that Ice House couldn't go face. Because I didn't play back then.
Oh right.
I thought that it was a battle cry can't go phase.
Oh
And
no.
of course it's
Like Charge Devil Sword, right? That's how I thought it worked as well.
I
Yeah,
thought they wouldn't go face. It was a little bit embarrassing.
that's
but
okay.
Are
we
any-
won.
Oh,
But yeah,
sorry.
get the 3. If you get like the reduced mana, and then you just get like 5 Ragnaroses on board by
Oh
turn
my
3.
god.
So
That's
that'd be-
crazy. I mean, these aren't the. I mean, is I forget if it's a treasure. It's a treasure, right? That where you can, you draw like 3 cards and they're all like 1 mana or something like that.
That's a 4/5. It's the very right. The must go down.
Okay,
You were just.
oh, here we go.
there.
Yeah, the muscle. Oh man, this one's good too.
Yeah.
That thing's
Yeah,
insane.
I did-
Especially if you have like the double battle cry
Yeah.
trigger on
Yeah.
that. That one's pretty good.
Crazy good.
Yeah, and I like the things like the box where it's like give you a random one and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Or the one that shuffles 5 in. Like, how do you not pick that? Right?
Oh, the Scroll of Wonders.
No, not the that.
That's
Wait,
10
there's 2.
scrolls, right? That's.
That not the 10 scroll one. There's one that's like shuffle 5 treasures into your deck.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't even know if I
There's-
played with that one.
Oh no, it's so it's fun because then you get 5 extra treasures.
yeah.
Nice.
Some of the treasures are not great though, so you usually get about 2 or 3 good ones, and then the rest. The candles is great too. Like I've used
Candles
this thing
amazing.
Yeah,
against
that
the
one's good.
druid boss. Oh man, the token druid boss. I was owning. With
Oh
this
yeah,
card.
yeah,
Oh my
that
God.
destroyed him.
Yeah.
Or
so
there's
good.
also the minion one that's like shuffle this minion back in and it does 4 damage.
Oh really? I don't think I've played that one.
Oh, the Flame Strike card, the 3 mana 4/4 Death Rattle.
Oh, over here, Elder
Oh,
Tall.
Yeah.
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 Ooh, nice. Okay. Shuffle
I think it's
that
really
back in.
good.
Yeah, I generally don't play the minions, but maybe I should play them a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like if you get one of those just like utility pieces, it can be helpful.
Yeah.
when
No, they're
you're-
powerful, man. These things are.
Oh, the
super
one that
good.
does the like summon. Oh, you just scrolled past it. The one that like gets you boom bots and draws cards and it
This
stacks.
one,
Master
flyby,
Scheme.
or
No, not flyby. What'd you say, Allie?
Master Scheme. I think that's what it's called.
I think it
3
might-
mana.
Here you go.
Yeah. Or,
Deal 1 damage, draw 1 card, gain 1 armor, summon 1 boom bot.
Yeah,
oh,
that
and it
one.
upgrades every turn. Oh,
Yeah,
I've never gotten
that
this one.
What?
Wow.
It's fun.
It's
And-
like super UI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Except for if you get it too big and then you just have a bunch of boom bots on the board, which is not good because they don't
Yeah.
have aggro rush because you're not Dr. Boom.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like some of these treasures have like 30 mana's worth of value, and then
Right,
some of them is like this. After you play a card, replay it. Like, and I mean, it's good. It's definitely really good. But some, these there are definitely a number of cards that are just game winning. They're ridiculous.
That's why, if you get the bad options, it might just be worth the concede.
Look
because
at Orb of Untold. I mean, it's not that much better than Volcano. Like it's.
oh, that thing's real good.
I mean, it's good, but I'm just saying it's like, it doesn't win you the game though. It just like probably saves you, from dying.
True.
One
true.
time. Yeah.
You can go face though, Smork.
Oh, I guess it's true. I guess it does go to face. And usually I have to like save myself when I use it.
Don't die.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, these are so fun. It's definitely good to the passives. Which one's your favorite passive?
Robes of gaudiness.
Oh, of course. You just mentioned earlier.
How do you not pick robes?
Goggles is decent. The
Goggles?
yeah, actually that name
Goggles.
Goggles is pretty good. Actually, that's much better than decent.
Actually, Goggles goes well with Robe of Gaudiness too.
Yeah,
I've had those two together before.
The one that I surprisingly liked was whenever your minion dies, gain 2 armor when I was playing
Oh,
Hunter.
really? I saw that in my last game. I didn't choose it though.
Yeah, just when I was playing Hunter, it's like I just was like never in fear of dying. I just kept getting armor. I'm like, okay. I had the hero power that was give yourself a minion. Like have you played that Hunter hero power?
I have not.
Give yourself.
Yeah,
I think so.
So it's like the 1 mana hero power for Hunter is to get a 1/1 chameleon or something in your hand, and it basically changes into a different 1-drop every
right.
turn.
That's the third one, right? Yeah, I haven't gotten that one yet.
Yeah, so you just kind of like throw those down. It's just like, and then but then you get
Chameleons.
armor off of it. So
Yeah.
you're like I'm token hunter.
Hey, have I missed Wondrous Wisdom Ball?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
Allie's played that one.
Have you? What does he say? Like I need to choose this.
No, he goes like, if you draw a card, he's like, oh, let me reduce that cost for you. Or,
he actually
they
does
cast a
stuff?
spell.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
they cast a spell and he's like, oh, I'll put 1 copy in your hand too. He just does random things that can be
that's
good
cool.
or bad.
That's cool.
Sometimes it's
I like
bad,
that.
right?
It definitely is bad sometimes. Like
Oh,
he makes
is it?
something more expensive.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not
geez.
always
Okay,
positive.
never mind
so.
then.
But I would say in general, like he's probably better than some other ones. So like I've picked him up before, and like it's better to pick him up than 2 other awful ones, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like,
Okay.
oh, here's an ice block or stuff like
Here's
that.
nice,
Yeah.
like, thanks. Yeah. Okay.
You might need this.
Well, anyways, lots of fun, guys. Definitely try out the Wings 3 and 4. And then Wing 5 comes out tomorrow. We missed it by a day. So we'll have to talk about that next week. But Wing 5 is actually longer. There's like almost twice as much
Yes.
content.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
remember it was the 12. It was 12 chapter one. Remember that?
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
there's a
right.
lot.
It was 12
Yeah.
chapters.
Yeah,
Man, they put so much content into this.
I know.
I mean,
Definitely
it's
worth
clearly the best, I mean, it's different. Like the puzzles were really cool, but it's just a different, different people.
I kind of wish that the standard mode was slightly harder. I feel
Yeah.
You
like
mean the regular mode?
yeah, the regular mode could be slightly harder.
It's definitely it's definitely easy. But-
Because the trades that you see them make are just terrible. I'm like, the AI, what are these trades?
Yeah, the AI is pretty dumb.
Like, and when I play the regular, I go face the whole time, and I never make a trade, and that's how I would win. It's because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because he just makes terrible trades on his side.
Oh, so you
But
actually
now-
think the AI is different? Wow, I didn't realize that. I just figured, they keep the same AI and they stack it differently. They just stack it harder. Like the hero power for them is really good, or they're.
Oh no, yeah, I've noticed like the way that they do trades in the beginning is
gosh.
bad.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll make really bad trades.
I've had the Miss Lethal against me, and that was like the only reason why I moved forward.
They
Yeah,
actually
so
Miss
it's
Lethal?
definitely bad in the regular runs for sure.
You'd think that, I mean, I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but you think that they could just almost like open source, have somebody write in an AI that would be pretty good, in terms of figuring out, things like that.
Well, they might want it to be, dumbed down a little bit to a certain extent.
Just to
Yeah,
unlock
more
the packs.
casual.
They're trying to
friendly.
appeal, exactly. They're trying to appeal
Yeah.
to everybody.
Yeah.
So.
I get that.
Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, guys, check it out. Good stuff, and just buy the whole thing. Like I recommend, or I think the most efficient way is to actually use money and just buy all 5 chapters at once and get all the packs and all the card backs and heroes and everything. It's definitely worth the money, and you basically all that stuff you get is worth the money, and you basically get the content for free. Like at that point, so
Yeah, you get a decent amount back,
yeah,
right?
you get a ton back.
You can set so many goals. Like I want to complete each chapter with each hero. And
Yeah. You can play
like that.
Anomaly. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have done Anomaly.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah. It's good It's good for streamers, right?
I've had some people just say they don't want to watch it, but
Okay, never mind.
I played
then.
at night. I played mine at night. That's how
do
I
you?
felt.
Okay. It's pretty hard, right? Just
Yeah,
random
it's
stuff.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's-
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's nice to incorporate into your streams, when it comes out. But I think too much PvE content probably isn't the favorite to watch. But it's definitely fun to play for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, another thing that Blizzard's been doing a lot of lately, and Blizzard's been doing a really great job lately. I mean, just I think generally the community. There's been appreciation threads on our Hearthstone, every once in a while, which is like, what? Like crazy, amazing. They're clearly doing something very, very right when that happens. But one of the things that, the community team's been doing well, or just the general, content team or whatever, is having these events. Like you guys were invited to obviously the launch of the expansion event. It was called the Showdown, right? I think that's what it was called.
Showdown.
Yeah, Dalaran. And this week they had the Mechanical Invitational. And did you watch it? Did you guys watch this week's?
I tried to tune in a little bit for Jost because I love them so much. I think they might have lost, sadly, but I didn't see too much of it. But I tried to tune in for them.
What's up with the Harry Potter thing? Like that, the host was like dressed like somebody from.
I was
from
very confused by that. Not really sure. Well, because Dalaran's a city of
is that
magic,
what they were doing? Okay,
I guess that's why.
I guess because wizards and okay.
But it was a little off,
yeah. It was just like really thrown off, and obviously a different host as well. But I don't. Slyssa, do you know what we're talking about? The host was dressed like somebody from Hogwarts.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it. It was during the time I streamed, so I didn't see any of it.
Yeah.
But I did like catch a glimpse of him walking around. I was like, "What's going on?" But like,
yeah,
are they
like, it
allowed
was
to
fun.
do that? Like with licensing, are they allowed to like?
I mean, I don't think it was
wear Harry
actually a Hogwarts outfit, but
It didn't. It
it
just
looked a
looked
lot like it though. It was very, very familiar looking. But if you guys didn't watch it, it was Crib was there, Toast was there, Tice was there. It was basically like a streamer or a person that knows Hearthstone really well, paired with somebody who doesn't know or isn't a very good player. So it was like it wasn't quite a pro-am because none of them were really pro. Like some of them were, but not all of them. But it was kind of like this pro-am feel to it. So most of the time, like when Crip pretty much played like the entire time for his team. But I mean, he was like explaining things and like kind of coaching it, which was actually very cool and good, really interesting content to see. But it was a sealed format, so they they opened a bunch of packs from different expansions, and then they built their own decks based on what they got there, and then they ended up playing against each other. It wasn't specialists; it was just pretty much just sealed, kind of a best of 3 type of thing. But they did it right. Like there was some things that I've been saying on this show for a while that they should do just to improve, like the Red Bull sealed events, which was just to pre-record the pack openings and just like showing the highlights of it. And they did a really good job of that. They were just showing like the legends they would get, like as they opened up legends packs and stuff like that. And then so that was really great, leading into the actual matches themselves. But it was cool. It's like it was different than the ones you guys did. But I think that it was cool to see like Crip explaining things to I think it was it Bunny Fufu? I think Bunny Fufu and obviously Jost. I mean, Toast doesn't explain anything to Janet, but they're just cute together, so it's really fun to watch them. And then Tice and his partner, I forget who his partner was. They were like dressed up in like just like the evil, just evil guys or whatever. So a lot of fun too if you guys didn't check it out. And it seems like they're doing these things maybe every 2 weeks or something like that, which is interesting.
Wait, so they were all actually there in Burbank? I know only Jost was, but I didn't.
Jost and Crip were there, and Crip and Bunny Fufu, I think, were both there. Everybody else is kind of from home, I believe, or from some studio or home. I don't know where they, if they were all at home. But I think when I tuned into the Jost match, their 2 opponents didn't have a camera, so I was a little bit bummed about that. Oh, I didn't see that.
I think
okay.
So. I don't know if they changed that, if I tuned in when there was technical difficulties, but it felt a little weird having
some there and some
there, and
not.
not exactly.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. They had a pretty good mix though of people around the world, so it probably would have been hard to bring everybody over.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean they had people from France and people from Netherlands, obviously with Tice, and I think even some people from Russia too, as well. Like
they had Russians and they had South Koreans.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they had a South Korean team too, so more inclusive. It's cool. It's great to see. Now, obviously, the Hearthstone community is obviously wider than the English speakers, so
of course,
it's good to have other people participate in these events as well. But yeah, we'll see if there's another one. Now that the fifth wing's out, there's not too much more to announce, in terms of this expansion. So maybe the next events we'll have to wait till the next expansion. But that's only in August, right? That's not
right. That's what I was gonna say. Is so we have a month, and beginning of July should be the next kind of the hype week.
Yeah,
it starts like in a month, and so normally there's this way more downtime where you feel like kind of ready, but that's in a month where we start the announcements. So
they're learning. Awesome. They're learning how to stretch all of this now. And people have been complaining about stretching the content. I'm like, you guys are the same guys that are bitching about having these long gaps in between.
That's I thought the exact same thing when people were complaining about how long it took for the PvE content to come out. I was like, I think it was super smart. I always felt like there was way too much with a new expansion when there's all these new cards and you're just trying to figure out the meta, and then all of a sudden there's a PvE and you're like, oh, there's just too much to do. Right. I was very happy that they waited so much time to release it. So then you're already built into the meta, you're already understanding it.
Yeah.
And now here's something else to do in the meantime as well.
Yeah.
I was very happy about that.
Like you said, we can focus on each one and appreciate each one better.
Right.
Like when you have them separated like that. So, definitely kudos to them for doing it. It's been great so far.
Yeah, sometimes I didn't even get around to the PvE stuff when it was released at the same time because I was just too focused on wanting to try new decks and standards. So this is a much better system with the later release of PvE and buffs as well.
Yeah, I'm sure the stats show it too. I'm sure they've had a lot more playage on the expansion this time around versus the others. Maybe not the puzzles. I'm sure a lot. I mean, everybody played the puzzles. So, but compared to Rastakhan, I bet this one's been outplayed Rastakhan by a lot.
We can see it in the viewership too. My viewership or all of ours is obviously always higher at the start of a new expansion. And I think it's been higher in the last 3 days since the buffs. So
nice.
The streamers can see it as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's see. Why don't we move on to Grandmasters? And so Grandmasters, obviously, continuing. It's like every single week at this point. And season one looks like it ends on July 14th. Wow, I thought it ended in June. But I think this is week 3. And let me show us the standings so far. Have you guys been watching Grandmaster at all?
I do when I'm not streaming and my friend's on or something like that.
There's a lot of friends though in Grandmasters, which is nice.
Yeah. So when EU is on, that's when I stream. And they have rules that if EU's on, no GM from EU can be streaming. So it's like, oh, well, I'll stream.
Isn't that an interesting thing? I'm actually a little surprised some of the guys said yes to GM, given that Dog and some of these and Tice and some of those that
well some of them Dog is interesting because he can still stream in the morning.
Yeah,
because he's a morning streamer, and so it's fine for him.
Okay.
I've talked to Zalea about it. I asked him what his thoughts. He's like, now I can take a day off without feeling guilty.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's stuff like that. I don't, but they have to take so much time into figuring out what the meta is going to be. And then and all the stuff and preparing that I some of them I feel like probably can't stream as much as they used to.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's for sure. For those of you wondering what we're talking about, so Blizzard doesn't allow the Grandmaster participants to stream during the Grandmaster broadcasts. It's smart, just to protect or try to get as much viewership as possible on the Grandmaster broadcasts. But obviously, streamers make make a good amount of money these days, so they're sacrificing a good amount of money to do this if it did overlap with their streaming times. So pretty interesting decisions, based on how, valuing the esports versus streaming.
Yeah. I mean, they make good money for each game too, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely.
Yeah, so here's the North American. It looks like Monsanto's just crushing right now. Dog not doing bad. It's kind of interesting. They don't list the losses here. They only list the wins.
I thought that was a bit weird.
It's just a positive thing.
What's Division A again?
Division
Okay,
A?
so something interesting is that both Eddie and Dog have only played Warrior.
Yeah.
They haven't
Really?
switched.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
They
And
just believe in it, man. They totally.
And they're
Yeah.
both killing it.
Dog keeps saying, he's like, why would I change it? Like,
Yeah.
why would I not play the best?
Hmm.
So they just have been jamming Warrior this whole time. So
Yeah,
I
just to
think
talk about the meta some, like I was really critical on Grandmaster's last show. So I will have to say that the last week or last 2 weeks, it's been more interesting because we've seen more decks, people bringing more classes and we've seen lots of Paladin. I've seen everything across the board almost, hunters and I mean, I haven't seen Priest.
we have seen Priest.
Have we? Who
Pavel,
Priest?
Yep.
Pavel brought Priest.
Oh,
but-
Pavel brought Priest. Okay, wow.
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. He brought Nami.
Oh, he got
Ah,
Nami. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so been seeing
No,
more
what,
variety.
I don't think we've seen Warlock.
No one's brought Zoo?
Somebody,
You might be right.
No, I don't think I saw Zoo this week. Yeah, I haven't seen Zoo recently. I might have seen one Zoo like ever. I haven't seen all the matches, but
It's like, why take the risk if you know that like Warrior?
right.
I bet
Hunters is
you
good.
might see some this week, but
We've seen Rogue. We've definitely still seen some Rogue as well. So pretty good, balance in terms of just like the different classes and people trying to counter the meta and not just playing, Rogue. Well, Rogue got nerfed, so it definitely a bit of a change because of that too.
it still did well.
Yeah, it still did well too. It's still strong. I mean, there's
Yeah.
still really good components to it. Or you can even play multiple rogues. But
I mean, Muzzy played the version that got nerfed, and he used to won.
yeah, well, Muzzy and Saiyan played rogue, and they switched like one or two cards, right? And it made a huge difference for Muzzy. I think it was it Corsair? I can't remember which one it was. What the difference in the cards was that they played, but
He still ran Corsair.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what he exactly changed. But I know like he knew that with the Corsairs in the mirror, it would be strong.
yeah, and that definitely worked out for him. So this division's really close right now. 4-4-4-3-3. Yeah, super close. Let's kind of looking at Europe real quick. Let's see. Yeah, we got Fino's just been crushing. He's got great read.
He hasn't
on the meta.
lost.
Yeah, he's got a great. I feel like he has a great read on the meta every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he seems to be playing the counter like every single time. And then it looks like Seiko is doing super well. Also
undefeated.
Oh, but look at this. Like a third is only 3 wins here. So this is
Oh,
like
wow.
a weaker. This is or more. There's more parity in this one. This is kind of interesting. And then the final Asia Pacific, who we got. I'm not as familiar with these guys. So Alu Tamu has 5, and Shaxi and Don with 5 here. Tyler with 4.
Tom.
Tyler.
Yep, Tom's up there too as well. Tom's number 2. So yeah, overall, Grandmasters. For me, I think that I still have the same concerns I had previously, which is I think it's still very dependent upon whether the meta is in a pretty good state. And right this second, it seems to be working out pretty well for specialists. But I have to say, when I'm watching the matches, it seems like there's just not quite enough matches for me. Like I could use a little bit more,
More.
when they're playing.
It's
Yeah. Really?
It's from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. at
No,
night.
I mean not like
More in what sense?
hours
Like,
for 3
yeah,
days.
I don't mean like the overall broadcast. I mean just like the matches. I don't know. I just feel like they're just over so fast sometimes. It's like it's like 2-0 is over. It's
I mean, the Warrior, yeah, it's over so fast.
yeah. They're not. Those aren't fast. I'm just talking about more from.
But you're used to best of 5.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I could see that. For me, I didn't think I'd like specialists, and it's starting to grow on me.
Really?
It is starting to grow on me because it is interesting. how you get to tech your deck differently for different matchups and stuff, and like how they're going to counter queue the second game, and then if they go into the third game, do they read it that, oh, we're going to do the same thing because we think it works, or are we going to counter queue the counter queue? Like, it's super interesting.
I don't.
Yeah. What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I don't hate it, and I think it's working well right now because, you know, in my opinion, I feel like the meta is in a pretty good spot for the most part. Like there isn't too much polarization like there has been in the past. So I feel like Specialist is working now, but for me personally, I do miss Conquest and LHS. I just like seeing the different decks, and like, you know, it really is on the decision of the player. Like, it's fairly easy to say like, okay, well, we're gonna bring Warrior, you know, or we're gonna bring Rogue, and we're gonna, you know, swap out some cards. But to construct a lineup of 4 different classes and decks, I think is something that I definitely miss. So yeah.
I actually, like, I have an opportunity to be in a couple of Specialist things, and I've been way too afraid because I'm like so nervous by the format of it because I'm so used to LHS.
Right.
Because like I feel like Allie and I both, we didn't play a ton of Conquest recently. At least we were playing a lot of LHS.
A lot of LHS, yeah.
And so
which I like better anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer LHS, but the Specialist is growing on me, and I feel like Blizzard did a really good job in like saying, okay, we're going to do a nerf this week, and then you get to see 1 week of that or 2 weeks of that, and now we're going to do a buff, and I feel like viewership's going to be really good this week because now it's like, okay, what are they going to do with the buffs? Like, that's very true.
You know, one thing to make up for the weaknesses of Specialists is to change the meta like constantly, because you know, like the players in the very beginning of changes, they're more open to taking risks and you know, building new decks and trying out new counters. You know, when it settles, they all settle on the same thing. You know, like all the players. I don't know if they're like talking as much as they used to. You know, like when Conquest and Last Hero Standing was, or Conquest was the main thing. You know, I felt like before the mentality was like, oh, if we all get to the finals, and that's awesome. You know, like we'll all win. Where in Specialists, I think it's a little bit more head-to-head-ish, you know, feeling, and maybe you only stay within your team, you know, and you only discuss it more so than your practice group, you know, as much.
Well, you can only change it so much, so it's like giving away your secret tech, you know. You have to be careful.
I mean, there's a big deal about that. It's APAC's lists are due first, and they go public.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Okay.
And so what happens is then EU, I think, gets like maybe 2 hours to view it, and then NA gets 2 to 4 hours to view it, or something like that. And so that's why you see such a difference, is that APAC has like is the decider. They're like, we're going to do this, and a lot of the NA and EU people are basing what they're going to do based on what they see on APAC. And that's why you see such big differences. I think it's kind of a big deal. I think they need to change the format of it. There are some, I don't know if I want to call them lazy GMs, but there's been some who just copy paste.
Really?
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. So
you should have to submit
a little bit of a drama, right?
Yeah,
like,
you should have to submit your decks before.
I don't like it personally.
No, it doesn't seem fair, right?
I don't think it does. I think it'd be more interesting if they didn't do that. If
I mean, it's fair.
If all came out at the same time, then I think that you'd get more of a craziness, and that's why you see a lot more differences in APAC and a lot more similarities in NA, because all the NA people make the same reads, and that's why you're seeing like 10 warriors.
I know, exactly. I mean, yeah, like to your point, it would benefit if people, you know, the less sharing of information, the better Specialist has. I mean, the more chance Specialist has. So because once it converges, that's where Specialist is the absolute worst. You know, is when one kind of meta is determined to be the best one. So yeah, I mean, it's not that hard just to have everybody submit before the first match happens, right? So or at least before revealing anything.
I think they're trying to be like, oh, let's give them a fair like amount of hours after their last match or whatever, or I don't know. That's in my opinion. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, then NA would have less time to prepare. They'd have like 4 hours.
Or less still be working on their last matches. Yeah, I suppose that's true.
But no, because it's due. I want to say that their lineups are due. I want to say they're due Wednesday night or early Thursday morning or something like that.
Okay.
And their matches start Friday. So they have time. They have all day Monday, Tuesday, and I believe Wednesday. So,
so do you guys want to participate in Grandmaster? Like, are you guys trying to participate in Grandmasters in the future, or?
Honestly, in my opinion, like it's kind of a what's the right word? Fruitless effort. Does that make sense? Like it is very, very tough. Like I think the system is only 2 spots are added.
Yeah, the first year. I mean, I think they're going to expand that. Year. Yeah, I think they'll probably expand that.
Yes, I mean, like of course the interest is there, but it's, you know, as a streamer, you have to really like, you know, in order to get to that point, I'd probably have to give up a lot of like content creation and streaming, you know, to try and get there. So it's really just about like weighing it. I don't know, Slysssa, if you kind of think the same way.
Yeah, it's exactly like I know that, you know, I'd have to jam 15-hour days for the open cups, and then if you get one of those good, and then you have to go to the tournament where there's a ton of people. And we've seen that, I mean, the best of the best usually could make top 8, but after that it's kind of whose day is it? And so it's like the odds in the current way to get into GM, the odds of getting there are just so slim that if we're going the route of content creator, I think we just have to go that route, and it's just unfortunate. Like,
well, I mean, I think that you guys already are content makers and successful. So I mean, you know, it's definitely you'd be giving up something. But if you're like, if you're a Hearthstone person, you know, that's not a streamer yet and is, you know, contemplating Grandmaster, I wonder which one's actually harder right now to get into.
Oh man,
I mean, that's hard to say.
Yeah,
because I don't think people realize how hard it is to get in, to become a big streamer until they try it, and it is rough. They're both hard.
Yeah,
I mean,
different ways. I mean, you spend a lot of time either way, like tons of time either way. But
I would say that, you know, if someone was looking at the 2 options, I'd say that streamer content creator probably has better longevity than being one of the 2 people that gets into Grandmasters. Granted, I would think that, you know, if you are a Grandmaster, you probably could turn that into a successful content career because you'd get the exposure from being in Grandmasters. But, you know, that's why we have seen traditionally a lot of competitive players move to content creation and streaming, because it is actually more stable and you can take it other places if said game, you know, stops their competitive circuit, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So
definitely more consistent and a bit more predictable.
Sure.
Yeah. Even if it's, you know, you don't have huge numbers, but you pretty much get that solid base, you know, like whatever it is, and trying to grow that feels a lot more consistent than who knows if I'm going to finish top 8 or top 4 or top 2 this week, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing that came out of Grandmaster this week, which I think is interesting, Raven's actually in the chat too, so this would be,
what's up, Raven?
As a caster, this will be interesting as well, just to see how he responds. But there's been some back and forth. There has been, you know, like I feel like there's been this kind of passive aggressive thing between players and casters for a while now. You know, I feel like it's come a little bit more to a head this past week. You know, whether it's Frozen and you know, TJ, or, you know, just other, you know, other players just, you know, making comments as well. But there's always this like a bit of a clash where casters will, you know, say something during a match that usually, you know, questions the player's play, or, you know, wondering why, or maybe insinuates that it's the wrong play. And in the end, you know, the players actually had a reason for doing each one of those things. And I mean, this is just like a general issue we have, you know, in Hearthstone, and kind of want to get y'all's take on what you think of you know, just the kind of dynamic between the casters and players, and how the production is right now.
I have a question just before, almost before I want to answer. Is this like, does this happen in other types of games? Because I feel like with card games, you know, it's really a matter of like, you know, intellect and decision making, and you know, a caster in an FPS could just be like, oh, well, he missed the shot there. So I wonder if this is as big of a drama sometimes in other game categories. I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't think it is, because I think other games are, it's very, well, there's not as many possible moves, like in terms of equally, equal or at least moves that are pretty close, and whether they were the right decision or not. Like, if you're playing, League of Legends or whatever, as a team, that's just a whole different dynamic. But even just like, say, StarCraft or something like that, it's pretty clear, what each player's doing, and if they misclick on something or they just chose a wrong strategy, it's pretty clear that what the consequences of that is. Where with Hearthstone, I was telling you this before, Allie, like before the show, there's no clear way to indicate what was the right or wrong move. Like sometimes it's just so obvious that everybody knows what the right move is, but sometimes it's not, especially with these high level, pro players where they're just like thinking, 3-4 moves in advance and really just playing, for these little odds of trying to win at all. And, and maybe you just don't understand their deck as much as they do, right? Like I think there's a lot of that type of nuance with Hearthstone.
And the reality is that the wrong play can work out, but that doesn't make it the right play, know? So it's like all those little scenarios that it's really hard to come to a consensus with Hearthstone. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
But to kind of answer your earlier question, I've got a lot of respect for casters. Like, it is hard. They have long days and so many games of Hearthstone. And I think I saw, there was a little bit of Twitter drama, a little bit of debate.
Well, just a little. It wasn't crazy.
Everything, but I saw
it wasn't crazy. It wasn't crazy bad.
Downplaying it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I saw a comment from Gia saying,
Gia did a really good job.
Yeah, she did a really good job. And, a lot of the times I think what happens is you make a comment on why a player would have done something. But the problem is that the player is already moving on to something else that's happening. And you as a caster kind of have to analyze their next move. So it's like you could probably debate one particular move for a really long time, but you sort of make an opinion about it and then have to move on to the next thing for the sake of the broadcast to give attention to what's going on.
Right.
So, I don't think it's at the fault of the caster to kind of, make an opinion on a particular play and then move on. But I did see that Kibler made a good point, I think, in response to Gia, saying that he usually always tries to like
justify
it. Like, okay, they made this play. Let's think about all possible options of why they would have made that play, as opposed to just saying, oh, that play was bad. And I think that's really the best way to go about it, is to give the player the credit. Because even in me competing sometimes, like I've felt like, there is rationale behind it, but it might not be as obvious, given the time. So I don't know. It was very interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, for me, like, I've casted my own 2 little events. They weren't really like the same thing, but it's so exhausting. It's a very exhausting job, and they have to do this for really long hours, 5-6 hours, where the players may only do, I don't know if they're playing rogue matchups, 5-10 minutes, and if they're playing warrior matchups, maybe a couple hours, but it's so long, and they need to know so many different matchups, and they have to be talking all the time and watching all the time, and they don't get deck tracker like the players do.
They should have it, by the way. I don't know why
they should have a deck tracker, but they don't get one. So they have so much they have to do, including entertain. And sometimes to be entertaining, you have to be dramatic, and you have to be bold, and you have to say things. And I feel bad when sometimes it comes at the expense of a person, because I know when you hear things about you, it can be triggering. But it's one of those things where hopefully they don't take it too personally, and hopefully the casters can say it in a better, I don't know, like,
yeah,
I can see both sides. I really can, but I just think casting is a really hard job, and I totally understand where they're coming from in my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's incredibly hard, and like you said, I think that what can be worked on is just how we do it. And Kibler has a great way of approaching it. I don't think there is a perfect solution. Hearthstone's Hearthstone is not like any of the other games because there's no play-by-play. You know, like I remember when we first started casting, everybody was trying to do play-by-play and everybody hated it. Like it was just like, why are you play-by-play? We could just like watch what's going on, right? And so like the only thing you can do is analyze. You know, like both, you know, the color caster as well as, you know, I feel like both casters are essentially doing analysis. And I know Frodan, you know, has all of his experience. He has a good way of you know, diverting and really navigating casts in a really masterful way. But generally, you know, when it comes to the analysis, it is something where I think you have to approach it from the standpoint of the players doing the right play. You know, like kind of just look at it from that standpoint, maybe see why he did it, and I think that generally has a positive approach to it. And you're likely to fall into a situation where you were wrong about why the player did it, and you know, making him look bad when he really shouldn't have looked bad, and that's what really gets under player skin is whenever that happens. So
right,
it's definitely tough, and I think it's, you know, one thing that I feel like maybe a production could help with is you know, maybe having some kind of replays like other esports have, and kind of save those up, and a lot of times in the post interviews they ask, you know, about certain plays, but you can't really see the plays. Like it would actually be awesome if the player could see the play that you're talking about with them, and then have him explain what he was thinking. You know, like if it's one of those plays that the casters didn't understand why he made that play, and kind of just save it, so you don't actually have to take a, you know, you don't have to go in on that as a caster. You can just like, okay, know that we're gonna ask him that later, you know, like, and see why he made that play. And you know, I think it might involve in interviewing the loser sometimes, but you know, who knows? Maybe we should do that too, you know, just to help out. But the casters are in a very, very difficult spot in Hearthstone. It's like, it's probably one of the toughest things to cast, believe it or not. I mean, Odie's here, and Odie's probably like, what? No, but seriously, I think Hearthstone, it has its own challenges in casting that no other esport has an issue with.
You have to consider the fact that they have to try and keep up with some of the best, and I think they do an excellent job at keeping up the best with the best. Other esports, it's okay, some of the casters were the best of the best, but maybe their APM isn't as fast anymore, and they just can't keep up that way, but they have all the logistical skills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just for the casters to be able to keep up with it as much as they do, I commend them for that. Like, I think they're awesome.
And they're all, you know, pretty good players. Like, a lot of people still don't realize that. They're all legend players, and a lot of them
last time I saw 50. Gia when I was in the top legend area. She was ranked 10 legend on NA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're excellent players.
Yeah, and they have to be too. You know, that's just part of being a caster and being able to cast it in a very, you know, relevant and smart way. So yeah, kudos to the casters. They you know, definitely get you know, I think get a lot of criticism, or more criticism than they should get. But no, that's not to say that the casters, they don't have some work to do. I mean, I think that they can always improve and get better at their craft. But you know, I think we should give them some slack for sure.
I definitely understand the player side of it too. Like if a player's reputation is sort of dampened, you know, like I think there's give and take, right? I think the casters do an amazing job, but you know, they should probably stay away from like personal opinions. Like, try to be as objective about the play as possible, and don't, you know, give the player the benefit of the doubt, I would say, the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah. And again, like, I think the players most of the time feel that way because they don't get to voice, like, they don't get to say anything. You know, like, maybe the winner gets to say something in an interview, but
right, because the loser doesn't get to say anything.
Exactly.
Right. So sorry, loser, you can't tell us why you lost.
Exactly. I mean, I think the players would be, this would be unorthodox, obviously, and it might be kind of weird, but I don't know. I think everybody knows each other so well. Everybody's our friends. Like, all the players are friends. I think having a joint interview might be pretty interesting. You know, I'd
love to watch that.
Yeah. I enjoy it as long as it's not somebody crazy, pissed off afterwards or anything like that.
Yeah, well,
that could be
good
interesting.
entertainment value though.
Yeah, right. All right, why don't we move into Q&A? Before we do, I just want to thank just some of the folks that support ValueTown, and those, of course, are our patrons over at patreon.com/ValueTown. And just want to take a little bit of time, thank some of them each and every week. So Raydan, Bryce L, Vincent G, Dan S, Lou R, Trevor T, Johnson C, Gary D, Antichrist, Gotrix, Rice, and Michael S, just to name a few. If you like what we're doing, enjoy what we're doing, go to patreon.com/ValueTown, throw a pledge our way. Really, really appreciate it. Well, we've got one question for Q&A, and then we'll wrap this up. So Ahmad N asks, what is the future of HGG and open mic team competitions like Trinity Series? Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that you missed these team competitions, or
I've been trying to get WSOE to do the next one to be a
team competition?
Up to co-op. I suggested that to them to do a duo thing where like pick your favorite like Hearthstone couple, like Ike and Soleil, and
Slyssa and Allie.
Just like those people that you love to hear on co-ops, and then like seeing them together, like next to each other, like, oh yay, like that's like I think if anyone could do it, it might be WSOE, but I would love to see that. I think it's very entertaining.
I personally love the joint co-op competitions. I mean, they did that for the last few years of BlizzCon, right? I mean, last year was HGG, but the year I competed, it was co-op as well, and I think the year after too, and or maybe they were 2 HGGs in a row. But I think it's great for the viewers to get to, especially listen in, on the different ways of thinking, and how a team comes together at a consensus. So I'm a huge fan of open mic team competitions, and I really hope that Blizzard, incorporates them more in the future. But I suppose it wouldn't be for Grandmasters, and if they're only sticking, officially with Grandmasters, it would be on third party, like WSOE to incorporate it. I
mean, they've been doing it with all these invitationals,
true. They have
guys. So I mean, they're definitely getting pretty good at it. There is a nuance to it as well, like when do you show open mics? Because this last mechanical invitational, I did notice that they would leave the open mics even when it wasn't their turn. Like with HGG, I think it was always like open mic on the team's turn that was actually going. And this past weekend, I noticed that they would just leave it, and it's kind of interesting because like they would take the time where it's the other team's turn to, like, Crip would take his time to explain all this stuff to Bunny Fufu and not really prepare for the next move, where I think a Trinity Series probably, like Ike and Delay would probably be talking about the next move. But there are some elements to it that probably need to, to figure out exactly the best way to do it. Because you can't open mic both of them at the same time, right? Like they just talk on top of each other. So
it probably depends on the event. Like for this one with Crip and Bunny Fufu, I would imagine that the reason why they brought in more inexperienced players was to try and get new people into Hearthstone. And so having Crip's commentary of why he did something, really valuable.
Super valuable.
But if it was a Trinity Series where it was super competitive, you probably would want it a different way.
But hopefully they continue doing it. It probably won't be Trinity Series, like or anything like that. But just given that there's still teams in Hearthstone. There's just not as many teams as I would say there were, 2 years ago, which was kind of interesting because I think at one point people were thinking that there was this whole Grandmaster thing or whatever it was going to be a team thing. It didn't end up being that. So,
they definitely were thinking that at one point.
I think there was, there might have been plans to be that at some point, but obviously it didn't end up being that. But I'd love to see WSOE. They do a great job. You guys have been to a couple of their events now, and they do a great job of production, and they just have the right atmosphere. Like that whole production and everything to pull it off. So I think that'd be great. Is there any word on the next WSOE? Like, have they talked about like another event?
When I talked to them, they were saying after BlizzCon, and from my understanding is that no other tournament for Hearthstone can be on during Grandmasters.
This is true.
Wow. Brutal.
Yep.
Brutal.
I mean, there's no DreamHack or Hearthstone DreamHack here, so.
Goodness, man. All right, that's all in.
So I would say, I would guess December.
Okay. December.
So the first one was in December last year. So
they did December, March, and so I think that's how they'd have to do it again. Is like,
Raven said,
I don't know when the first season of 2020 starts though, but
yeah. Raven said, just tell them not to have constant caster cams.
They didn't do that the second time, did they?
Well, there was definitely a couple. Well, did they? I think they might have with Dan and
the first time for sure. And it was just Dan and Brian, and they had to be on the whole time, and it wasn't a switch out thing. And the second WSOE, it was a switch out thing where they'd switch out one caster.
That must have been exhausting for them.
But and they were on camera the whole time, and
well, it was during the breaks. So during the breaks, there was one particular instance I was like just laughing at because it was like Dan and I forget who the female hostess is for all the WSOE things. Not Lauren.
I think her name is Lauren.
Is it Lauren? Okay.
Yep, Lauren's one of them.
Yeah. So Lauren and Dan are literally standing, like they're kind of talking to each other as if they're on break, but they're about to shoot, and there's still like 5 minutes left and they're still standing there and they're kind of just, and there's this camera that's far away that this is what's being broadcast, just showing them standing there and they're just kind of talking. And it's just like, man, that would suck to have to be broadcasted just more in a candid way. And you're not even sure that you're being broadcasted. And yeah, it was pretty weird to have the casters being in that spot. But Raven, I'd love to see you like in that just, 5 hour or 3 hour mode in terms of being on. That'd be so funny.
Oh, they were on for I think at least 8 to 10.
Jeez.
That first day,
8 to
right?
10? Oh my god.
Yeah, they were never off. Like it was just the like little ad breaks that they got, but they were on camera the whole time and didn't get a single switch out of caster.
You have to be 110% of your personality too, or 150. God, that's brutal.
And like they can't look down, like they can't be like looking down at the screen and taking notes and stuff. They have to be like, entertaining. If you're looking down like this the whole time, you're not very entertaining.
No, I'm sure they'll figure it out though next time. But all right, well, I think we got through everything, man. Great show. Cool. You guys are awesome as always. And
it's great to be back.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that got just a lot more things to come, in Hearthstone. And when's Vegas is in July, right? I wonder if they're gonna have a lot of you guys out there too.
Is it June?
No, it's June.
Is it June?
It's like next week, I think.
Oh, is it next week? Yeah. Oh my god, I'm just like totally off.
I don't think I'll be there.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention is that at least we have the Grandmasters website now. Like that actually has the records and everything on there. So, I mean, I'm really happy we finally have an esports website that's up to date and really letting us follow it. So, kudos to that. Blizzard for finally doing that. So
very pretty.
So Vegas is next week. Are you guys invited out there or anything to maybe help get some more folks out there?
No.
Okay.
It'd be fun to go to Vegas just to show up and hang out with people, but I'll probably stay home and stream.
Cool. All right. Well, anyways, you guys want to do some shout outs before we take off? Allie, you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Alliestrasza. Twitter is F2K_Allie.
Yay.
And thank you for having me on, ChanmanV. It's been a ton of fun. I always like being back. And thank you for anyone that shows me support, and have a wonderful day.
Slyssa?
My Twitch is twitch.tv/SLYSSSA Slyssa. 3 S's, I'm sorry. And Twitter, F2K_Slyssa. And I'm really trying to push my YouTube. I just
there you go.
launched a Murloc Shaman guide. I got to rank 2 Legend of Murloc Shaman. So there is now a YouTube video with that. So check it out. I'd appreciate it.
Murloc Master.
Master.
I'm a Murloc main.
That's right. That's cool. That's definitely good.
I need to give you my Murloc hat now.
I'm looking into some onesies.
There you go. Okay, get the onesie.
Nice. Oh, actually, when I was thinking Mike Tyson hype, that's right, man. You guys got to play Hearthstone with Mike Tyson. Did both of you guys get a chance, or no? Only one of you with Mike Tyson.
I never played with him.
Okay.
Did anyone play with him?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Never mind.
There were people coming in.
Someone might have. It might have been Jesse or something.
Yeah, people were coming in and play like these athletes were coming in and playing with people on stream.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
We did forget. Shout out definitely to our team, Slyssa and mine teams, F2K.
Yeah.
Lots of exciting stuff is happening, and
Yeah,
they've shown us a ton of support. So, yeah, keep up with their team.
Yeah, awesome. Just want to thank the two of you guys for being on again, and everybody else for watching. Obviously, we were a little bit late, a later time today. One thing I do want to mention is that I don't know if you guys watched the whole Apple announcement, but iTunes is going away. So obviously that affects. Yeah, they're just like killing iTunes.
And they're getting dark mode. So
yeah, they're going to be
killing iTunes.
Yeah, they're breaking everything up into their own separate apps like music and podcasts and I forget the other stuff. Yeah, so
they're getting rid of it, but they're giving you something different.
Yeah, they're they should. I mean, that's like their storefront as well too. So,
yeah.
But because iTunes is going away, I think it's supposed to transfer smoothly into the podcast app. But in case it doesn't, guys, make sure you stay subscribed and everything to Valuetown. If not, definitely go to Spotify and at least just follow us there, and just so you can always figure out when the show's on. But I know a lot of folks, tons of folks in the podcasting space, like most of the folks I think listen to podcasts via iTunes, and they just have them automatically download to their phones and stuff a lot of times. So
yeah,
that's going to change in the near future with iTunes gone. Maybe it's going to be similar with the podcast app, but obviously it's going to be a little bit different. Just want to give you guys a heads up, just so when that time does happen, it's going to be a little bit different, and you may not find the show for whatever reason. But definitely keep up to date with that. You can find the show on youtube.com/ChanmanV as well if you want to watch the video version of it. And I think that's going to be it, guys, for Valuetown this week. So for Alliestrasza, Slysssa, and myself, ChanmanV, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, guys. Chanman, you're